Okie dokie. Got my computer, right? Yep, got my computer. Got my... Don't have my water. Headphones, which I may or may not use, but the point is, last month I competed in the 2nd annual Marauder Multigun Match in support of the Sua Sponte Foundation. This whole time I've been calling it Sua Sponte Foundation. In fact, one of my friends at the match was like, haha, I saw your video from last year, you pronounced it wrong. And I was like, oh yeah, Sua Sponte said it wrong. And it did not compute. I misunderstood. So I've been calling it Sua Sponte Foundation. I don't know. It looks like that's how it's pronounced. But yes. Last month I competed in the 2nd annual Marauder Multigun Match in support of the Sua Sponte Foundation. If you're not familiar with the Sua Sponte Foundation, it exists to support the members of the 1st Ranger Battalion and their families, specifically in times of loss and crisis, and 100% of the proceeds from this match actually went to the foundation. In last week's video, I walked you guys through all of the gear choices that I made for this match and how they performed. So if that's something that you're interested in, don't forget to go check out that video after this one. But in this video, I'm going to go over each and every stage, exactly how the match went, how I placed, and what I learned, and how it has kind of impacted my training goals going forward. But before we get into any of that, I asked my friend Will from Briarwood Media to come out to this match to get video so that I could share all these stages with you guys, and he also put together this introduction for the video. So if you're looking for video work and you're in the greater Savannah, Georgia area, you can find him through the link down in the description below. There were a total of 8 stages at this match, and 297 shooters participated over the course of 3 whole days. Definitely the largest match I've attended to date. But without further ado, let's just dive straight into the first stage. I guess I'm gonna put on my handy dandy headphones. Going into this stage, I was initially nervous about shooting at those steel plates unsupported, but I was definitely pleasantly surprised myself once I started shooting. The scoring on the paper targets was a little bit different at this match than you might be familiar with. We didn't count alphas, Charlies, or anything like that. It was just 2 hits anywhere on paper or 1 hit into the head box. This part I really enjoyed. Anytime I get a chance to shoot at a bunch of steel targets, it's a really good time. And I definitely had a adrenaline dump at kind of the end of the stage, which is pretty normal for the first stage of the day, but yeah, this stage turned out better than I expected it to. I feel like I look silly with these on, so I'm just gonna listen to this with no sound. Okay, the second stage. This stage started with 5 shots out of an Uzi, which, like, I think I'm supposed to know what an Uzi is because people thought it was cool, but it just goes. What sound do people like to make? Like, brap. That's what people use for motorcycles. Like, pew, pew, pew. The Uzi goes real fast. We had a total of 5 rounds to shoot through the Uzi, and I think I only got 1 hit. The target was kind of moving from side to side. But yeah, going into the second half of this stage, I had to really try hard not to get into kind of a negative headspace because the day before the match, I'd kind of seen that the stage was going to include 2 of the spinning targets, which I'd never successfully completed before. So I did a couple of practice runs and was only able to spin it 1 time. So going into the stage, I definitely really had to keep the negative thoughts at bay. And if you've never spun one of these before, there's definitely a strategy to it, which I'm definitely no expert at. But going into the stage, I was just kind of reminding myself that I can shoot at moving targets that size at that distance. So I knew that all I had to do was just execute the skills that I already have. But my main thought going into the stage was just be patient. And I was genuinely shocked when I finished this stage. I won't lie, I thought for sure I was gonna time out of this stage, and I had a little mini celebration at the end of it because I was just surprised that I was even able to spin both of them.
I've never done that before! I've never done that before! Ah!
You spun them both?
I was expecting to time out!
Good job.
So the third stage was super simple. It had a lot of open targets, and knowing that I could get my hits meant that I kind of went into it wanting to go as fast as I could. Someone coming off of the stage, though, as we were going into it, said that the door was sensitive and that we didn't really need to kick it very hard. So I ended up giving it a light tap, which ended up not being enough, so I had to kick it harder anyways. But I won't lie, that sort of tripped up my mental stage plan, which I think is why I started to just sort of like dance through the stage a little bit. My footwork is really blah, but ultimately it was still a pretty good stage, and I walked away from it knowing that I probably could have executed it a little bit better, but I wasn't unhappy with it.
He said you don't have to kick it that hard. To me, that was like, ha.
I thought you were gonna shove your rifle into it at first.
So stage 4 was called the drill bill, which I thought was kind of a funny play on words. You probably will too if you know what the bill drill is. Some of the other shooters recommended upon the beep that I just wait for Bill to kind of come around the corner to solve that problem before addressing the spinner. And I actually think that was a solid plan, and I'm really glad that I tackled the stage in that order. I also performed a planned reload immediately after I had like finished off the moving target, so that I could avoid having to reload right in the middle of trying to get the spinner to spin. I did get a little bit impatient with the spinner though, which ended up costing me some time, but I was able to spin it, which was still mind-blowing to me at that time. Like the day before, I was only able to get one of these targets to spin after trying it like 3 or 4 times. So I was kind of mind-blown that I was able to accomplish that under pressure like that. Running over to the van was a whole lot of fun. We had to enter the van, load, chamber our rifle, and then address 2 moving targets. One of them was a completely open target. He was kind of like belated to you, but he was not a hostage target. The other one had a puppy hostage in its arms, and so it would only respond to or go down with a headshot. Moving on to stage 5. This stage was pretty straightforward. I executed the stage plan that I had pretty much exactly how I'd planned it out. May have been a little bit more herky-jerky than I would have liked, but all in all it came together and I was pretty happy with it. The targets I was trying to hit while shooting through the port were tiny and blended in with the background pretty well. The magnifier was very much needed here, and I did flip my magnifier into position about halfway through the stage, and I really liked having the ability to quickly, remove it or put it back. Stage 6, this stage was also pretty straightforward. We had to engage all the steel targets without hitting any of the red zones. It was definitely weird trying to lay down on this kind of unstable platform. It was also a bit of a challenge laying down with my USPSA belt on. Going into this match, I was kind of hoping to avoid going prone as much as possible, but it was pretty unavoidable for this particular stage. Moving on to stage 7, the second to last. Now, this stage absolutely kicked my booty. This stage had targets all the way out to 400 yards and then several man-sized moving targets that all had the objective of capturing my downed pilot. And if your pilot is captured, you scratch the entire stage. So it was my job to make sure I hit all 6 steel targets while also ensuring that none of the moving targets got to my pilot.
Off the right and low. Just off the right. Hit.
Well, I got totally sucked into addressing my steel targets and then completely forgot to lead where I was aiming, as one of the man-sized targets made a beeline for my downed pilot and my pilot was captured. So this stage absolutely obliterated my score, and had I simply hit all my steel targets and taken down even 2 man-sized targets in under 2 minutes, I probably would have placed a lot better at this match. And it was definitely a huge bummer to completely scratch that stage, but I also knew that I still had one more stage to go, so I made a very conscious effort to remain as positive as possible, because the last thing I wanted to do was lean into that negativity and then perform poorly on my final stage of the day. So finally, stage 8, this stage had a grenade launcher to start. If you hit your target, then you didn't have to engage that target on the clock. I did not hit my target with the grenade launcher, but all in all though, I was pretty happy with how this stage turned out.
It was 15 originally and like 4. One more. Hit. Good. Hey, this one fell off on that. Yep. Hit. Hit. Next shooter, if you want to come get your picture.
Overall, I went into this match with 3 primary goals: to have fun and stay positive, to shoot at my ability level and identify weaknesses, and to learn. My first and primary goal was to learn. Learning is the primary reason that I compete at all, period. And after I started going into matches more regularly and actually taking them more seriously, I really began learning at a much faster rate than I had been before when I was just taking classes regularly, at least in relation to just raw shooting skill. Two-gun is still a pretty new skill to me, specifically the longer range stuff. And for me right now, long range just means anything really beyond 200 yards, 300 yards. And going into this match, I knew I still had a lot to learn and that I wouldn't necessarily be competitive, but I found that learning occurs when I put myself in competitive environments. And at this match, I learned so much. I learned about gear selection, I learned about mental management, and I learned about specific areas where I want to pursue more growth. More on that in a minute though. My second goal, of course, was to have fun. This match was not designed to be an intense competitive environment. The match director himself said that it was designed to be a fun and challenging environment with the primary goal of raising funds for the Sua Sponte Foundation. Well, fun most certainly occurred. Even though I zeroed out on one of my stages, I would absolutely still say that this was probably the most fun that I have ever had shooting. I maintained a positive headspace the entire time. I had a generally pretty positive group of shooters around me, and all of my equipment performed as expected. And my final goal for this match was to identify my weakest points, which I most certainly did. This also goes hand in hand with my learning goal. I still have plenty of room to grow in all aspects of shooting skill, but it became abundantly clear at this match in particular that I have absolutely no idea how to shoot at distances beyond 300 or even 200 yards.
Is that a hit?
Hit, yep.
And this right here is how this match has impacted my training going forward. Over the next 12 months, I want to make it a goal to apply myself to shooting beyond 200 yards and grow in my knowledge and repeatable skill in that specific area. I'll also say that this match served as a gentle reminder that I want to continue to prioritize my fitness and my health. Fitness has always been a part of my life, but it's kind of been an on-again, off-again pursuit. Just getting some kind of workout in each day. It's easy to tell yourself that you don't have time for a big workout production, but I found that when I just set the goal to get something done each day, that mindset shift leads to more work getting done altogether and with a lot more consistency. And this match wasn't particularly physically demanding, but there was a few short sprints here and there that, again, just served as a gentle reminder to continue to put forth time and effort into that particular department. All in all, this match was a giant net positive for me personally and for my training, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that continues to influence my training and my goals going forward. Thank you guys for watching all of this, and hopefully you get to see the video that I did last week, and I will see you guys in the next one.